Okay, so Christina, you have a need for drugs. You get some drugs, and you're driving your car, and you're pulled over by a police officer.
Yes, I got pulled over. I had a significant amount of drugs in the car, Sid, drug paraphernalia. I had a purse full of pills and all kinds of things. And I get pulled over for no registration and no inspection sticker. And there's a lot of smoke in the car. I roll down the window. And the officer says, ma'am, license and registration. There's just a whole thing of smoke coming out of the car. The officer's, coughing. He obviously knows what's going on in this situation. So I get out of the vehicle. Ma'am, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest. And I was pretty belligerent in those times, Sid. I mean, I was, yelling the whole way to the cop car. He puts me in the back of the police car. I'm handcuffed, and that was when I prayed my first prayer. And my first prayer was, God, if you're real, why are you doing this to me? And that opened up, I believe, a conversation that God had been waiting for all of my life.
To complicate your life, as if you needed that, you're arrested for drugs, 3 weeks in jail, back at work, and a man by the name of Hilroy gives you a prophetic word.
Well, I didn't know what a prophetic word was, Sid, but I'm sitting at my cubicle, I'm staring at the screen, and I'm beginning to contemplate suicide. And I get a tap on the shoulder from the Christian guy at work. And he says to me, I have a word from the Lord for you, Christina. And I thought, a word from the Lord? But I knew it was my last resort. So I show up at this prayer meeting on the 3rd floor of the break room. And before I even get to the door, Sid, I could hear the humming of the people praying inside. It was like a song. And I walk in through the door, and there were these people pacing the floor praying, unlike anything I had heard before. I had seen Catholic, people pray rosaries and things like that, but I had never heard people pray like this before. And I had this thought, if there is a God, these people have come face to face with him. And so I stand in the middle of all these people. They start laying hands on me. They're praying. To me at the time, it was these strange languages. It was scaring me a little bit too. And Hilroy comes up to me and reads to me out of the book of Jeremiah, and he says, this is a matter of life or death. And I knew in my heart at that moment, Sid, that what this man was speaking truth. And at that moment, I had this vision in my spirit that I was dying in a car accident. And I knew that this was the last straw. This was the end. And so he says to me, would you like to accept Jesus into your heart? And I lifted my hands, and I was just, in my mind, I said, Jesus, if you're real, come into my heart and change me, save me. And so he leads me in a prayer, and all of a sudden it was like this warm oil from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. I'm starting to shake. People are laying hands on me, and the boulders that I had been carrying around for 20 plus years of my life were all of a sudden lifted. Sid, when the Lord says that we are born again, we truly come through the birth canal again in the Spirit. I saw more light in my life that I had never seen before. The sky was bluer, the colors were brighter, and I went from the crazy, druggy club girl to running around the office at this university telling everybody, high five for Jesus. I just didn't know what to say. I'd never been in church. And everybody had to respond. They'd raise their hand, I guess, high five for Jesus. What's going on here? And I was on fire. I was like a burning flame running around this office, offering salvation to the entire company.
3 days later, you have a dream. Tell me about that dream.
Yes. So I was going through some withdrawals from the drugs. I was trying to get off of the drugs, and I got pulled into what I now know is the throne room. But I could see the feet of the Lord, and it was a throne that had no end. There was no end left to right. And then all of a sudden, I started falling, and I saw fire all under me and around me. And when I woke up from this vision, this dream, this encounter, it was like the addiction was just pulled out of me. I went from I couldn't go a day without doing drugs to, in a moment, being totally set free. The fear of the Lord took over me. It was
That doesn't sound physiologically possible in a split second.
Well, in one moment, God took all of the years of pain and abuse and everything that I had walked through, Sid, in one moment where all he needed was a surrendered heart. He didn't need me to be all fixed up, cleaned up. He just needed my heart to say yes to him, a moment of surrender. And in that moment, God took everything that I thought would never leave my life. He took that and healed me, and he delivered me.